Hey everybody, welcome to day 15 of Get Out of the Rat Race Rut. I'm Beth Campbell. I'm a career coach and mentor for corporate queen and captive, now helping you find your work wonderland. If you need or want somebody to guide you one-on-one through a career or life challenge, send me a message or go to bethancampbell.com/coach me, all one word. Thank you so much for being here. Day 15, we are almost halfway through of our 30 days of career coaching sessions. If you're watching live, let me know you're here in the comments. If you're watching the replay, just give me a hashtag replay. And of course, make sure to let me know if you have any questions or feedback. In 3 days, I'm going to be doing a question and feedback episode. So look forward to that. I've gotten a lot of great questions and feedback in the past 2 weeks. Okay, so we've talked in previous sessions about looking within to find answers in our career. We talked about self-image. We talked about letting go. We talked about techniques to deal with the office asshat that are from within. So today we're going back to within, and we're going to talk about facts and stories. So what this is how we make up shit in our head and we create emotional situations, emotionally charged situations, quote, realities for ourselves that do not serve us well. So facts and stories is a term I encountered during my mindset training, which I'm currently in. I've talked about it in previous sessions. I'm currently enrolled in a program. It's run through the Proctor Gallagher Institute called Thinking into Results. I've mentioned the woman who runs it, Ava Paycheck. She also offers almost every month a free masterclass. It's a week long. It's about an hour and a half a day. Anybody can do it, even if you have a job, even if you have kids. It's worth it. So let me know if you're interested. It starts tomorrow on the 16th and runs for a week. And again, it's free. And you will hear about things like facts and stories in there. But this is where I came across this concept. Excuse me. So I had never heard the term facts and stories before or anything like it. But as soon as I understood it, oh boy, did I recognize it in myself. The concept of facts and stories is that we invent meaning or intent in situations and we create emotional states that result in stress and anger and anxiety and hatred and frustration and other charged feelings. We assume things that aren't necessarily true. We assign some intent to things that people say or do that aren't necessarily true. We create these stories that usually make us feel shitty and make us feel a lot worse than the actual event itself. So here's an example of one that I worked through when I first started learning about facts and stories. And you will all, if you drive, you will relate to this story, I guarantee you. So I was driving down a road near my house, going about 60 miles an hour. The speed limit was 55. Yes, I do generally go a little faster. Sue me. So I was coming, and it's wide open and curvy and hilly, and I was coming around this curve, and I was kind of going down, so I could see pretty well. And there was an intersection that I was coming to where I had the right of way, meaning that the road was perpendicular to mine, had stop signs, so the cars had to stop. And I could see there was a pickup truck at one of the stop signs. I could see him from a distance. It was kind of around there was a field of knee-high corn, but I could very clearly see it. It appeared that it was waiting for traffic to clear. There were a few cars ahead of me, as they should. But then all of a sudden, as I'm getting close, this guy pulls out in front of me and I kind of have to brake pretty hard. Like I didn't slam on the brakes. It wasn't like a near miss, but I didn't screech my brakes, but he should have waited. I was too close. I was coming too fast and there was nobody behind me. So he would have had a clear shot in just a few more seconds. So now I have to slow down because he's in this big old pickup truck and it doesn't have a lot of pickup. So now I'm right behind him and we're going like maybe 35 in a 55 zone. And I'm pissed. I'm so angry at this guy for pulling out in front of me. So I start making up stories in my head. He did it on purpose. He hates women, so he pulled out in front of me because he's a redneck misogynist. He was trying to piss me off. He saw I was in a Subaru and he decided he's going to teach me a lesson for driving a foreign car. Or he just doesn't care about anybody but himself. All these things and more, they're running through my head. My adrenaline is still rising. I'm pissed. I feel disrespected. And then I remember my training about facts and stories. The important lesson in these situations is, what are the facts? What really happened factually? And what did I make up that made a non-issue into like a colossal event that got my blood boiling? Well, the fact is the guy pulled out into the road and I had to brake hard. But I don't know the reason. I have no evidence that he did it on purpose. He didn't flip me off or anything like that. I have no reason to believe that he doesn't like women. And for that matter, he probably could even see me well enough to know that it was a woman driving. What possible reason would he have to be trying to piss me off? I don't know the guy. He doesn't know me. He probably didn't even notice the make of my car. And by the way, tons of people in my area drive Subarus, Toyotas, Hyundais, whatever, Hondas, tons of foreign cars. It's actually the norm here. So I don't know why he would care what the make of my car is. And I have no reason to think or know that he only cares about himself. I don't know the guy. This kind of thing happens all the time. And it happens a lot at work. We have an experience and we start making up bad fairy tales about that experience. And then those fairy tales, they feed the negativity, they feed the anger and the frustration. And then you create a negative mindset around a lie, or at the very least, a highly fluffed up half-truth. So when we make assumptions and create stories around a situation, we almost always swing it to the negative, right? We're not making up stories that are like, positive. And it just makes the situation much, much worse than it really is. My example with the pickup truck was just like a blip in time. It was a few seconds. And yet I created the bad fairy tales, the bad stories that went on another at least 5 minutes. I basically made myself mad. I put myself in a negative mindset. I let myself concoct a false situation that distracted me, increased my anger, and did not in any way serve me. I created a situation and an emotional reaction that was not real. He didn't cause my anger and frustration. I caused that anger and frustration. Now, there are times when the stories we make up have some truth to them, but it's almost a given that we will make them much worse. And all we do is hurt ourselves. We drain our own energy. We make ourselves angry or sad or annoyed or whatever. We cause ourselves so much undue distress, and it wreaks havoc on our mindset if we don't recognize it. This probably happens to you at work every single day and maybe several times a day, large scale and small, especially if you're not in like a great work condition, which a lot of you, if you're listening, you probably are not. So some guy, repeatedly cuts you off in the meeting. So you make up stories about his motives, like he doesn't respect you. Maybe you get an unwanted assignment from your boss and you make up stories about why you got it, like maybe she's punishing you. Somebody gets a little snippy when you ask a question. You make up stories about, oh, they must be mad at me. You see a bunch of managers huddled in a conference room and you make up stories like, oh, they're discussing maybe my bad performance or something bad with the company. Or it's taken too long to get a response from that project manager and you make up stories about how they're just deliberately trying to be difficult. Every day, all day, we do it. One of the best tools to deal with making up stories is simply awareness. The more you recognize when you're making stuff up and you're aware, the easier it becomes to identify it the next time. And it's pretty easy to fix. Whenever you find yourself getting agitated, angry, frustrated, livid, worried, fearful, doubting, insecure, feeling not valued, stop and do a mind check. What are the stories you're telling yourself? And what are the facts? Imagine you're on trial and you're asked questions about whatever it is that you're agitated about, and you can only give the facts. You can't assign any intent. You can't assume any meaning that hasn't been stated. Anything you say outside of pure facts is going to be stricken. You're going to be astounded at how much of this stressful situation you have created yourself. Yes, 100%. Now, let me caveat this because I always have a caveat. Of course, sometimes we are dealing with somebody whose intent is to hurt us. And of course, sometimes our stories have some truth in them, but we make it so much worse when we ruminate deeply and just make stuff up. So start paying attention to how you're feeling. When you recognize that you're getting riled up about something or sad or fixated, stop. Evaluate the situation. What are the facts? And what are you making up? And if it helps, make up different stories. That guy in the pickup truck who cut me off, after I realized what I was doing, like making up shit wholesale, I created different stories to make me feel better. Maybe he was in a hurry because he was about to poop his pants. God knows I would have pulled in front of somebody if I had to poop my pants, for sure. Maybe he was in a rush to get to the bakery because they always run out of his favorite donuts. Again, something I would probably do. Maybe his wife is sick or terminally ill and he's got a lot on his mind, so he was distracted. Maybe he has a dick boss who punishes him if he's late. Maybe he didn't see me. It was early morning and the sun might have been hitting his eyes. Maybe he was in a hurry because he was running late and he was on his way to canvass door to door for Kamala Harris as president of the United States. Maybe he misjudged my speed. He was an older guy, so his reaction time might have been slowing down a little bit. You can do the same thing for your work situations. The guy who cuts you off all the time probably isn't even aware he's doing it. Or maybe he was cut off a lot by somebody when he was a child, so he learned to talk over people. It's not personal. He does it to everybody. Maybe he had a stutter when he was a kid and it kicks in once in a while. He has to speak abruptly and quickly to compensate. Maybe he has to poop his pants. Who knows? They may seem silly, but they're no less silly than the shit that we make up in our heads that causes so much unwarranted distress. So be aware, recognize it when it happens. It'll become easier to see and you'll nip it in the bud more quickly, thereby saving yourselves hours of unnecessary stress. God knows you don't need more of that. And I will tell you, I have done this thing with like completely fake situations, like walking my dog. I'll start making up stories about somebody's going to, dog's going to come out because they came out, 6 months ago once into the road. It's just incredible the stuff that you'll make up. If you're trying to navigate a lot of anger and frustration at your job and you're being challenged with that, send me a DM or go to bethancampbell.com/coachme and let's have a quick chat to see what new stories we can create. All right. Sunday morning, not surprised, no comments. Hopefully we'll get some later in the replay, which, by the way, if you're listening and you want to share, I'm also on YouTube. I put all of these on YouTube, and my profile name is The Bean with 2 N's, TheBeann, and I have a playlist for all of these career sessions. So tomorrow, Monday, great topic for Monday. We're going to talk about different leadership types and how to handle them, right? I've talked a lot about leadership. I wrote a couple of books about leadership. I've ranted about leadership. I've talked about good leadership here and bad leadership, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. This session's going to be a little tongue-in-cheek, but still very serious and probably very accurate for most of you. So, all right, don't forget to connect with me here on Facebook or LinkedIn if you haven't already. Thank you so much for joining Get Out of the Rat Race Rut. You are here because you are a badass. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. I shall see you tomorrow.